Welcome back, everybody. I'm going to do a kayak gear video. I'm also going to bust out a couple new videos this week. One, basically, I'm going to run down my rod and reel setups with line and stuff like that. You know, going into more like snap weights and lead core and stuff. And then I'm also going to bust down one just about like baits and what time of years I use certain baits and stuff like that. But right now is going to be the kayak video, so I hope you enjoy. If you have any questions, let me know and I'll answer them or make another video about going more in detail about what you kind of want. So we're going to start in the back here. I'm basically going to go, especially since I do big lake fishing, I would highly suggest getting a flagpole. Especially since I want to get a flagpole. A lot of people like to do those egg crates. I am not a huge fan of that, only for the fact that I want to be able to put stuff back here. So I got these Yak Attack metal heavy duty gear tracks, and I just stuck 4 cheap Ram rod holders on here. I think each of them are, I don't know, 20 bucks or something like that. Yes, it's a little more expensive than making an egg crate, but then I'm able to use this huge back well for I can stick my cooler back here that I keep my fish in, and then I can also stick my sea tug cart or whatever, you know, I'm using for that day. Or I could possibly just, like, if I'm doing like island hopping or something like that, I can stick a cooler and a backpack with like a sleeping bag and other stuff back here. And then my rods can just sit back in these 2 rod holders. I also got a cleat right here. And so then I also have, although I don't know, now that I installed it, I don't know why I installed it. I have an anchor trolley. I have really never used it. I basically just have 2 fish grips tied with a rope to it. And I basically only use these fish grips for bleeding out fish. So like when I'm trolling for salmon or walleys or something like that, if I get one that I'm going to keep, I clip it on the fish grip and, you know, cut the gills and bleed them out while I'm trolling along or putting along. They can just sit in the water. The reason I have them instead of stringer is stringers rust a lot easier. These are plastic. They float, so if they fall out, they're not going to sink down to the bottom. But I would not recommend fish grips for what a lot of people use them for, which is like holding fish up to hold them in for pictures and stuff like that. I think they're very dangerous. They leave marks in the fish's mouth. They are very hard on the fish, and if you're just holding the fish up by the fish grip, the fish could thrash and snap its own neck. So anyways, that's my go-to. And then we're going to move up here. You can see I got 2 Omega Pro rod holders with some extensions. That just helps get the rods out and away from the boat a little more. And I went with the Omegas instead of something else because I wanted to get them set up for more multi-species fishing. They can handle a lot more rods. They can do spinning reels, bait casters. You know, you can use them many different ways. You know, they do have some drawbacks to them. You know, like some of my big, I tried swapping some of my big boat trolling rods into here, and the foam front handle's a little too thick for them. So they do have some drawbacks to them, but they're overall, I've loved them. They're a great product. They're not for everyone. I know some people use like the bazooka and this and that. I wanted these because these I feel like help get the rod butts out and away from them. And then as you can see here, there's this one guy down in Florida. He makes 3D printed handles. And I got one over here, and I think I'm going to buy another one for over here to get this rod holder back and away. One, it gets the rod closer to me, so it's easier for me to pull the rod out of the thing. And then 2, in case I do flip. As you can see, I only have one rod holder on this side. I want to keep this side open so that when I'm out there fishing, if I do flip, I can basically just slide back in on this side. So as you can see, everything from my camera boom to my fish finder to my phone holder is all on this side. So, and then I guess that leads into, I have a, this is technically the 5-inch Garmin. I just went with a cheap Garmin. I actually tried to get the 4-inch Striker 4, which is only like $100 or something like that. Just because I know a lot of people put a lot of fancy electronics on there, but basically it's not a matter of if you're going to flip, it's a matter of when you're going to flip. So I don't want to waste several $1,000s worth of electronics that are just going to get short out and possibly cause problems later. Then you can see I got a phone holder. My phone is, you know, one of the rugged phones or whatever, so I don't have a waterproof case on it or anything when I'm out there. I love this Ram X Grip phone holder. I have it, you know, because I can just unscrew this, pop it out. I can throw it into the thing that goes into my truck. I can throw it on a window suction thing that goes on my big boat. It's never dropped my phone. It's, you know, I've ran on my big boat in some pretty solid ways, bouncing and bouncing out there, and the suction cup doesn't move, the phone doesn't move. It's phenomenal, especially like when I'm trolling walleyes and stuff like that. I use the Precision Trolling data app a lot, and it's really nice to be able to keep pedaling and just figure out, you know, just open up the app and figure out how much line I need to let out. Let's see here, what else? Oh, I am not a huge fan of leashes. I try to limit how many ropes are on my kayak at one time. Again, flipping issue. I don't like the idea of all those leashes on rods and this and that coming with me. I prefer, you know, I think you've seen in my previous video, I basically just bought a cheap fun noodle and I zip tied them to my rods so that if they do go over, that fun noodle will float my rod up to the surface. I basically figured that out when I was practicing deep water entries in late fall, and some of those leashes were wrapping around my arms and stuff like that. Nothing really ever ended up happening with it, and I do always carry a knife on my life vest. I use the NRS Chinook, and it's the NRS pilot knife. But I don't want to risk it, so I don't use rod leashes. I try to limit them. The few leashes I do use are big, heavy, retractable ropes. That way, if I do flip, that's going to stay there. And then in here, you can see I also got a pair of offshore tuning pliers. When you're trolling stick baits, I highly recommend these. They're fantastic. It's a little too easy to over tune a stick bait with just a normal pair of pliers. Plus it has a really big thing. These are fantastic, especially when I'm trolling for salmon and trout and I'm going faster than 2.5, 3 miles an hour. It's important to make sure your stick bait's tuned, especially when you're going that fast, and especially like running behind planer boards. It's too easy for it to just jerk to one side. If you make sure you have it tuned, one, you're going to run true, so you're going to run straight. And two, you're also going to run at the maximum depth, and the Precision Trolling data app is going to be more precise with how deep that stick bait's trolling. If it's slightly out of tune and slightly over to angle, well, that's taking some of your depth away, especially when you're running, you know, like tail dancers and stuff, and you're trying to get down 30 feet. So, as you can see here, it's pretty empty right now, but normally this is where I keep my fish finder. I got a first aid kit here. I got a pair of flares. I can't get them with one hand, but that's where I keep that stuff. And then you can see here, I have, so this is a big net because when I'm on Superior, you can catch, 35, 40, 45-inch Lakers sometimes. I do not like having too small of a net. Basically, I just took a normal fishing net and I bought a wooden dowel. One, the wood's going to help it float. And two, I was able to cut it and make it the length I want. So I get the most length out of my net handle without poking me in the belly when I'm trying to pedal and troll. And so I got to customize its size. As you can see, I have my transducer down there. And then as for my camera boom, this is basically my front one. So it looks back to the rods. It's the Ram. Oh, I think it's the tough pole. This is the 48-inch version, I know. And then that's where I have the camera that runs back, and then I'll have another camera usually on my head mount that I take my audio and stuff from. And then in the front hatch here, right now I don't have it, but I'll usually have a waterproof bag with a bunch of spare clothes in case I do flip. As you can see, wires and stuff get run down. Some of them go to these LED lights, and then others go to my battery that's under my seat in this hatch right here that the power cord will run to my fish finder. And then I also have a bilge pump and a spare rope that looks like when I slid this up, slid all the way back here. Well, anyways, doesn't matter right now. When I get ready for a trip, I usually have the bilge pump and stuff up front here with the spare bag with my spare clothes. Especially when I'm going to be starting to troll here in February and stuff, you're dealing with very cold water temps. Even though I prep with a semi-dry suit and stuff like that, it's always good to have a spare set of clothes. You want polyester clothes, not cotton clothes, because the polyester will suck the moisture away from your body rather than the cotton will keep it held on. And then you can see under the chair here, I will have spare planer boards that I usually keep in my side pockets. And I have my up board. And then I'll have, this is my flasher fly box. I usually keep multiple of the most common flashers and flies I use. And then this also has my prop wrench, a couple spare nuts, and a couple spare shear pins in it. So in case I need to do quick maintenance on the water, this is basically my spoon and stick box. And then this is where I keep my snap weights. So you can see I got spoons and then a lot of stick baits for around here, especially for walleyes and stuff. I got spare jigs for swim bait jigging, swivels, spare singles and treble hooks for tying flies on the fly, and of course I got snap weights. And I saw another YouTuber down out of Milwaukee, I think his name's Keith Geller, use basically this setup. I have a swivel with a little copper wire, and then I got a bead chain with an OR, I think this is a 15 or 18 release. It's just the orange pinch release. So I put my line through this, and then I put it partially through the pinch pad so that when the fish comes up, I can just snap my line, or if the fish hits, it'll pull the line out of this pinch pad, and the snap weight slides down to a bead before the leader on the fish. So I don't have to try to take my snap weight off while I'm in my kayak. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, then I have some spare leaders in there. And I think that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the breakdown of my kayak. If you have any other specific questions, let me know, and I'll get back to you. Have a good day.